think we have takeoff. Holy moly. All right. So, ooh, I just kicked the thing. Do we like the light there? I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. Feels like a no, but let me know in the comments below. After that, it'll already be too late. So, anyway, I wanted to try this out because I just cleaned off some of my storage on my phone and I wanted to see if I could get a video in and start doing that thing where you just like shuffle videos around and delete them just so that you can get more videos on. Anyway, I wanted to make a video. It's been a while, video-wise, and give you kind of an update what's been going on. Today, I actually recorded 2 podcasts, count them 1, 2. I don't know when they're going out. Time is weird, and especially in the land of videos and podcasts, I can put them in whatever order I want. So it's pretty cool. However, this is totally coming out after. But they were the episodes, if you want to go back, on, I channeled a message, and then I recorded one right after that. And really it was like this sense that I wanted to try channeling. I wanted to try something new. I feel like when I talk, I'm channeling something, but I wanted more of I'll call it like a practice structure. And it makes me hesitant. It makes me, this is what I talked about in the second episode, but it was like, I started noticing all of my hesitation, and I started realizing that a lot of that was blocks that keep you from doing things, from experimenting, from trying new things. And when you're not allowed to do that, when you stay in that regimented field of what you know and what you feel comfortable in, that's where stagnation happens. And you can become the master of that, stagnant field. However, it's like, I feel like for me, I'm really endeavoring on growth and expansion and really getting to know myself. And I feel like you know yourself within those boundaries, but yeah, maybe adventuring out. And so then, the rest of the day went on, and I wanted to post a bunch of things, and I never got around to it until tonight, and I'm working on it right now, which is why we're recording one, because it's still uploading on YouTube, so I have like dial-up speeds going on here. And there was something came up this afternoon then, and it was like this sense of insecurity, this feeling, this like really heavy feeling of like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I think when I bulk post a bunch of things, one day after the other, but I do it on a Thursday and you're good through the weekend. By the time you get around to the day that you need to, it gives me a little space of time to look at things. And as I was looking, I started having that doubt creep, one of them, back up into me. And it wasn't pleasant, but it's that sense that it's always there. It's always been there. I think in some ways I've been finding ways to distract from that, amongst other things. And the doubt has always been there. You're not doing it. You're doing a terrible job at it. Nobody's even listening. Nobody's even watching. And I think some of it stemmed from the reading this morning. If you go back and listen to the podcast episode, I did fine for the reading. I didn't feel overly tapped in though. Sometimes I felt tapped in, but there was some times that I didn't. And then I was like, it's almost like you don't know what you're doing. And all that doubt creeps in. The episode after that I recorded right after, because of all those epiphanies of like pushing through, even when you come up against something that you feel uncomfortable with, it's like still taking like a little micro step, a little shuffle, if you will, towards the goal, towards what you've been wanting to pursue. And yes, I want to pursue podcasting and I want to pursue YouTubing. But I think this afternoon I got to sit down with that doubt and really put to words, what is my intention here? Like, why am I doing this? Because if nobody listens to it, does it matter? And in part, no, it doesn't. I like doing it because honestly, I guess I don't really need to record myself, but I kind of have these, this is going to sound crazy. I kind of have these conversations with myself anyway. I'm constantly trying to figure things out and pull threads. And it's like, I get the image, because I get the image of it a lot, but like almost like if any of you are crocheters or knitters, but it's like a big jump. I can just get one out of my closet actually, but a big jumble of yarn because you have 9 skeins and their little tails all get like jumbled apart, and how you could just cut it off and be done, but you stretch it out and you pull it, and then, oh, I need the purple one, and then you start pulling that, and then you have to stretch the ball out and you pull the purple one again. And it's kind of like that. It's like, I don't know. I think it's like I get so excited by figuring things out and getting things to kind of, I'll say make sense, but yeah, flow. And so like that's my interest in this. And I think I document it honestly because if anybody else can find, healing out of this or find it interesting as well, because we're just, we're put here on this earth and then we wrap ourselves up in a whole bunch of patterns and other strands of yarn that aren't ours. And now we don't have to undo it. We can just stay a big ball of yarn or cut it off and be done. But I don't know, to me, it's interesting and like pulling it all apart and trying to get it all to, be able to rewrap into your own skein. Find out what's not yours, even though it kind of all feels like yours. So like I said, this afternoon then, when all this doubt was creeping up, I asked for some clarity. And that was the sense that came to me. Is like, one, I've been talking about all this resistance, right? Listening to this, I feel like this channel in the last week to 2 weeks have been about coming up against resistance and somehow, if you want to, finding your wants, because your wants are on the other side of that resistance. And it's like when you find that resistance, you can just back away. And I feel like normally that's what I've always done. It's like, ooh, this feels like work. It shouldn't feel like work, right? So let's pull away. And today, after I got that clarity, is kind of like, this is what you've been talking about. This is part of the resistance. This is part of the shit that's coming up. This is part of the shit of why you've never really succeeded. Well, I can't say succeeded, done a podcast and stuck with it, or done any of this stuff and stuck with it, because the stories that pop into your head that you're not a channeler, so why even bother? Let that to the other people that are like just naturally talented at it. And you're not a YouTuber. I mean, I can go into the statistics and, but it's like you get those doubts and they hold you, like, because I could walk away from this and cut my losses. There's been an average of 2 people, thanks Mom, no, an average of 2 people watching these videos or listening to the podcast. And I think part of that is the pride that's being hurt. And like I said, I could just walk away and only 2 people would be missing out on my podcast tomorrow. But it's this sense that, yeah, I think one, it's really, I get like draining the keg, if you will, to refill it up in some ways. And it's like, you got to completely empty it out. And I think there's some attachment still, like the feeling of like, if I'm on the right path, why is this not working? And one, who's to say it's not working? But like, that's my fear, is like that I'm putting in this effort. And if this is the thing that I'm being pulled toward, why isn't it just working out? Why don't I already have 1 million subscribers? Why don't I see interest? Why? And this is the magical place. This really is. It's sitting with yourself in this doubt, because this doubt, for me, it's this podcast right now, or this YouTube channel. But think about it in your own case, that you stay with this job, or you left that job because you kept getting signs for it, and yet it hasn't worked out yet, whatever that is, a relationship, a trip to Egypt, all of these things. If this is supposed to be the thing, why is it not working out? Why didn't I get a check for $1 million already if that's supposed to be the thing? And I think in some ways, it's one, learning trust, but two, like, you have to empty the keg. I don't know why a keg. God, I haven't done that since Penn State, but it's like you have to empty out all of that attachment. And maybe in some ways, this is what I'm doing, is like, it's showing me my actual, just like how I would have been a person that always told you, I don't have any wants, or I don't actually know what I want. And now I can start to feel them because they're bubble wrapped, if you will, in some resistance. And it's like, do I really want it that badly, or am I just saying the words? And maybe the same thing with this is just kind of like, come back to me, come back to me, come back to me. Where was my train of thought going? I'm trying to find it out in the ethers right now. We're going fishing. Well, we'll go with it. We'll just see where we were going. But it's like learning trust in yourself, and letting go of that attachment, letting go of what you think it should look like. Because maybe it's, like, not for me to have 1 million subscribers. Maybe one of those 2 people that are actually listening to them right now is my only path. And I remember what I was going to say now. It's like that sense of how wants are wrapped in resistance. Well, finding out what your true intentions for something are, finding out what truly resonates for you. It's kind of like you put something out there just to see if it works, and it doesn't. But it's like, what is your true intention for this? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want it to be successful? Or what, is this just the palette that you have available to you, that maybe you want something else, and finding what your true intention for this thing is. I've been creating a lot of content lately, so they're all starting to get jumbled in. But yeah, it's getting clear on what you want and what your intentions are. And I think once that starts to come into fruition, once you can get more clear on that, because just saying, for example, that this podcast, I just wanted to help people. Okay, well, maybe it's already done that, and that's why it hasn't taken off. But it's getting more clear that I want a widespread message, or I want to be able to connect. And what I came up with is like, honestly, I feel like I do this because I love I know this sounds crazy, right? But I love figuring things out. I think that's why I became a physician assistant, because it's like it was constant puzzling for me in some ways. You have a person with some symptoms and a stack full of labs, and it was like, ooh, we could figure this out. I left for other reasons, and that's not an episode for today. But now that I've been doing like this self-awareness, self-understanding, self-mastery type stuff, it's so interesting to me, because I'm a walking puzzle. And how I was put together, how I can be disassembled in some ways. And I don't know. But I also see people as such. Not that I'm talking to you seeing puzzle pieces or something, but it's like when I hear things, I can hear, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's like I can feel within me the things that are puzzleable. It's not a word, but it's going to be. Check your next dictionary the next time it comes around. Hold on, I gotta fix my leg. Puzzleable. Yeah, but it's like I can feel within me some of the things of like I said, I always see things in terms of threads, but like what threads to pull on. And so it's just exciting for me. And like this feels like a modality to keep practicing, to keep understanding more of myself, because I have found my intuition, I need a lot of space for it because I like to weave a lot of stories together in order to have puzzle pieces fall into line. And that's why it needs a lot of space and a lot of dynamic. It's not like not usually, but it would be lovely to just get like one word and then be like, oh shit, that's what it is. But it's like, yeah, storytelling is the words that I get. I need a lot of space. I need a takeoff and a landing zone. Okay, we're not going there either. But it's, for me, the intention for this, it's coming back to me, coming back to myself and what feels exciting. And what feels exciting is like what I did today, the channeling. And even though I didn't quite connect with the reading, it was the message that kind of came through afterward. It was that sense of like, sometimes you got to do things that are difficult and uncomfortable and sit in your uncomfortability for a while before things start to make sense. And before you want to pull yourself out of it is really the sense that I get, because you don't have to sit there, but I think we all just kind of like don't know what to do. So we sit there being uncomfortable and then eventually, like get up and, all right, I'm good, thanks. But yeah, it's uncovering these things and it's freeing myself. And it's actually funny, ever since restarting up the channel, I don't have it up right now, but there's like a tagline for, if you go onto YouTube, it's like, my channel, whatever. What is the name of my channel? I don't even know. Let me see. Let me just pull it. Oh, Mom. I have to do work. Name of my there's just like a little tagline. And I wrote that tagline whenever I started the channel. Is that 2 years ago now? And I didn't even remember we had to write something. And I'm reading it now, and I was reading it before there's a screen in front of it now, and it makes so much sense. It's like, I'm on a mission. I'm paraphrasing. I'm on a mission to free myself and help others free themselves as well. It was something like that, something eloquent. But it's true. And it was true when I first started the channel, and it's true now. And it's like, I feel like that's my intention. That's my intention for this, is really to free myself. And if I can do that for me, maybe I can help others. I think I already am just by being me, but I think in some ways that's why I do this. And I think it's also just remembering that, coming back to that mission. Because I really do feel I'm in, I don't want to call it a turning point, but yeah, like this is it. This is the spot. This is the difficulty in some ways before it all turns around, because so maybe it is a turning point, because it's like, this is maybe the spot where I would have normally said, I'm good, had enough. Nothing's really changing here. Nothing's really changing there. But I don't know. Now I feel more connected. That big ball of yarn I was talking about before, I feel like I've pulled enough strands out for right now. There's still kind of a mess of some stuff in there, but I pulled enough out of there that I can feel which one's mine. Like, I don't know how to get it out of there. Oh man, they are really jumbled together, but I can feel which one's mine. I can see it now running through the mess. And it's just continuing to connect with that. And I feel like in some ways we I don't want to say settle, but it's like we are, I'm derailing again, by the way. Oh, it's because we can connect with who we are. It's like now we are here at the turning around spot, and we could turn around and just say, I know it back there. But because now I can feel the thread within me, that authentic thread, I can feel I'm supposed to be, pretend I'm going up and around the camera here. I'm supposed to be over there. And I don't know what it looks like yet. I think that's actually kind of the exciting part, because I get to play with this. I get to play with all of this. Do I want to keep doing videos? Do I want to do more videos? Do I want to do only have the podcast? I don't even know how any of this stuff works. Like, should I have a separate channel for a podcast? Should I, but at this point I have a certain amount of people watching, and if I'm doing it wrong, you know what? It'll come clear at some point. So I'm just going to keep playing and keep getting, how about this? I'm going to keep getting a message out there. And that message will eventually evolve into whatever it needs to. But if I stop, it's not going to. It's going to stay stuck. And yeah, I think I'm using this more so as a modality for me and helping me to pull apart that ball of yarn in some ways. Free myself from the jumble that is. All right, guys. You got to see my pretty face. I could not get this piece to go down today, so just pretend like the whole time it was like that. But it's so good. It's so good to be back. Just keep being present with yourself. 22:22 on the clock. Keep being present with yourself. Give yourself some grace. We are in such a high energetic time right now. And it's like really uprooting some deep shit. And we just gotta be here for it and just gotta let it flow and go, because that's all it wants to do. And more stuff's gonna come up, and it's gonna give you doubts, because that's some of the stuff that's coming up too. It's not new. You're not just picking up doubts. It's all in there, and you just haven't done enough stuff to make you doubt yourself. Or maybe you do doubt yourself, but I feel like if you're like me, it's kind of like, self-confidence here. You put on that portrayal of, and apparently she's married, Miss Self-Confidence. Hopefully he's good looking. But what are we getting at? Self-confidence. Oh, you put on this facade of self-confidence, which also limits you from doing things that would make you feel less confident, doing things that would make you feel insecure, doing things, and I totally understand it. Totally understand it. That's how I lived my life too. But I think right now, in this time of my life, I'm just playing in a step or two outside in the unknown. Just like leaning into things that I maybe always wanted to do, but just told myself I can't, or I'm not a natural at it. All of a sudden, throat chakra. Interesting. Yeah, because one of the things I've also told myself is singing in front of people. So, and now talking in front of people too. So we all have our things, but it's playing and exploring and doing some things that make you uncomfortable. I was just about to take a sip, so I'm going to do that real quick. But think to yourself, if you're still here 24 minutes into the video, what are some things? Make a list. I like to clear my energy, take a couple of deep breaths, put on a timer for like 5 minutes, and ask myself a question. And I'm going to ask you a question and just write a list of all of the things that scare you. And it could be anything. It could be spiders. It could be heights. It could be whatever. But just shit them out on a page, and at 5 minutes, stop. Don't even think about them. What is that? Flow of consciousness writing? Just go. Just go, just go, just go. It doesn't have to make sense. And go back through at the end of the 5 minutes and circle 3 things that maybe you could go attempt, or even a derivative of it. You know, if heights is something, it's like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't go skydiving right now. But can you go do something that you just kind of like, you know, you don't have to go jump off a building. You don't have to, oh, dog's coughing. Or whatever it happens to be. But fear is kind of our prison in some ways. And so is uncertainty, and so are these limiting beliefs. Maybe not just right, like what are some things you're afraid of, but like what are some things that you've also told yourself you don't do? My mom doesn't use the automatic checkout at a grocery store. Why? Because she says she just can't. I just can't. Okay, you know, so she will never use one. But can you imagine? It's like the limiting beliefs that you may have that are keeping you in this current form. You want to make some changes? You want to have a different life? You want something different than what you currently have? Why not practice now? Why not make a list of some easier things that you can practice changing, or practice leaning into? Practice being uncomfortable. What would it be like if, instead of avoiding being uncomfortable, we all kind of leaned into it a little bit more? You know, I'm not saying like put a tack in your shoe and just walk around with it, but I'm saying like finding some of these things, and instead of being afraid of going over and talking to that guy at the bar because, well, he's gonna obviously, just go fucking do it and be uncomfortable and be awkward. And eventually, I bet you wouldn't be. If you made a goal, and I'm just making this up, by the way, go to a bar, and I'm not endorsing it either, but go to a bar and just talk to every single person in the room that you think would be out of your league. And with the intent of getting turned down at least 30 times. And just see what happens. Who cares? Make it a game. You know, that you want to get turned down 50 times. So you better get to a lot of bars. But just fucking do it and get it out of your system. And whatever else just kind of feels like, no, I'm not going to, like, I don't know why this came to me, but I had a friend who had to write an essay. She's in graduate school. She had to write an essay. It was an argument on, I don't remember what. She was, I'm going with pro-abortion, and it was just like an opinion editorial. And I think her professor recommended everybody, not just her, but everybody write these op-eds and then submit it to the local newspaper, wherever they're at. It's an online college. And she was just like, I can't do that. I'm not and I'm just like, fucking do it. Who cares? Like, maybe they run it, maybe they don't, and who cares? But she never did. But do that. Like, oh, I can't do that. I'm not a professional writer. But who cares? Get turned down. Like, what does it feel like? And I say this, and I don't think I do this enough. So this is really for me too. But like, let's learn how to lean into the things that make us uncomfortable. Get up there on stage and sing, Ashley. Make a video. Do a channel. And I don't just mean a YouTube channel. I already have that. But do a channel as in get my tarot cards out. You know, do the things that make me just a little uncomfortable. It's nice to preach them, but do a couple of things to make me a little uncomfortable. So maybe I'll make a list too. She's making a list, ignoring it twice. That's all I got right now. Let's do it, guys. Let's do it. Let's create a wave of change just by making small little changes. Small little safe changes, controlled changes. Could you imagine what that feels like? So, controlled change. Something wants to come up about that. Controlled changes. I can keep saying the words and it's not coming, but if we can control the change, if we can make it feel safe when it comes up and, it's out of our control, I don't think it'll feel as bad. So I think we will have learned how to just let go of expectation. I feel like that's what wanted to come up. Letting go of expectation, letting go, because when shit is happening, you're getting a divorce, when you're getting fired from your job, it's like you hold on and I don't understand life without it. But if we can just learn how to let go and just be like, all right, I got, whatever happened. Can you imagine what life's going to be like? How much energy would you get back if you didn't have to waste it on, I don't want to say caring, but yeah, gripping, death gripping. So either way, a story about learning Spanish wants to come up, but yeah, it's the same principle. Just learning to be uncomfortable, learning to sit in the uncomfortability. When you feel uncomfortable, I have like 3 stories in the last day, but when you feel uncomfortable, instead of distracting, sit with it. Sit with it. Be present while you're drawing and feeling like you're a failure, because I could just show you. This is the Deku tree from Zelda, right? Doesn't even, not at all. But I have a couple of them going. And sit with it. Sit with all of the stories that come up. Sit with the uncomfortability instead of distracting from it. Instead of being like, I'm not an artist, and throwing all your shit out. And yeah, just sit with it. Because the more we can embrace it, the more, I think, the less it affects us. It's like that we have insulated ourselves from ever trying to feel uncomfortable at all. Something that we've lost from our ancestors, our great whatevers that we had. They sat outside in the cold. They didn't have electricity. They didn't have YouTube. So it's like, I don't know, tapping into some of this uncomfortability. And I think this is probably a whole nother episode for a whole nother day, but it's like the channel's open. But it's like, in some ways, maybe that's why we are the way we are. So forlorn, so unhappy, so miserable in some ways. So out of touch with ourselves, out of touch with our purpose, with fulfillment. Because in some ways, we've lost touch with that part of ourselves. We lost touch with how to feel, even how to feel uncomfortable. And it's part of the package. So